Ahoy mateys, it's Jacob, and I'm in Seattle to board a ferry back to Bremerton. In my previous video, I came on one of the Washington State Ferries, the Kitsap, but there is another ferry on the same route that is faster and doesn't take any cars. That would be Kitsap Transit's Fast Ferry. We come to Coleman Dock as the Cowleton sets off into the sunset, heading for Bainbridge Island. Coleman Dock is the main ferry terminus for Seattle. The only ferry that doesn't come here is the Victoria Clipper Ferry, which goes north of the border to Victoria, British Columbia. Coleman Dock has a big walkway to the terminal with a cool-looking railing with glass balls in it. To the right is the ticket booth for the Washington State Ferries, and you need a ticket to head west on all ferries out of here. Coleman Dock has a big terminal with turnstiles for scanning your tickets to the WS ferries. This new terminal was completed in 2023. A bridge over the car loading lanes takes you to the foot ferry dock. At the end of the bridge, you can look over the boats in the dock. There's a Kitsap Transit Fast Ferry in the dock now, but this one, the Enitai, is destined for Southworth. I'd like to document this one in a future video. Across from here, you can see the maintenance dock for the King County water taxis. And you can see the Washington State Ferry docks too. You then go down the stairs to get to the foot ferry dock. You can also access this area from the street.
So do we want to go over towards together on the west or do you want to go someplace here tonight?
If you're taking one of the foot ferries, then you must buy your ticket from one of these ticket machines. Once you paid, you take your ticket from a slot below, and then you're ready to go. Well, with some time to waste, I decided to do some boat watching. These boats are part of the King County water taxis, which from here goes to either Vashon Island or West Seattle. I'd like to make a video on one of these eventually. At long last, I see my boat speeding toward Coleman Dock. This boat is the Reliance, and this is the boat that will take me back home to Bremerton. On arrival, the Reliance turns around and backs into the dock. Once the Reliance is moored, the call is given to get on. The Reliance is a high-speed catamaran built by All American Marine in 2019. She can handle up to 118 passengers. She is 78 feet long, and this boat weighs about 14 short tons. When you get on, you put your ticket in a box on the dock. On this ferry, you're required to remain seated at all times. If you value freedom of movement, then you're probably better off taking the Washington State Ferry that runs on the same route. Also, if you're expecting a food service on this 30-minute ride, then you can forget it. Eating and drinking is not allowed on this boat. A few minutes later, the crew casts off, and we're off to Bremerton. Hold on tight because this is going to be a bumpy ride.
Providing a low wake and soft ride. Our crossing today should take approximately 30 minutes. While the vessel is moving, it is requested for your safety that you remain seated until directed by the crew. In case of an emergency, numerous signals will be sounded on the ship's whistle, followed by the same signals on the ship's general alarm, followed by verbal instructions over the ship's PA system. In all cases, passengers should follow the instruction given by the crew. You may be directed to assemble the
night falls, we arrive back in Bremerton. It was a fun trip, but honestly, I don't recommend this to anyone with a weak tummy. I was a little nauseous from this run myself. High speeds and rough waves make for a bumpy combination, and it might not be the best thing for some people, if you know what I mean. It also explains why they don't allow anyone to roam around on this boat.
Oh, is that right? Did you send him a picture?
But these boats certainly do connect communities. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, then push that like button. And if you want to see more of my content, push my subscribe button to ensure you don't miss any new videos. Keep your steam up!